Indie intros! Hello everyone, this is Zen911 with PxlGrease, and for this week's version of Indie Intros, we're going to be taking a look at a game called CyberPunk 3776. It's a great game, I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's an indie game, and it's basically a side-scrolling spaceship shooter type game. The controls are fairly simple. You have a shoot button and you have a shield button, and I think that this is a good game to pass some time with. It's nothing groundbreaking, earth-shattering or anything, but it is a lot of fun to play. Alright, so before you start the game, you basically have this option here to choose kind of what your ship is going to have. You've got a bunch of different options, as you can see here, and you can spend the points that you start out with to make your ship better in these areas. I definitely recommend putting at least 1 point into cooldown, because that's going to help you with your lasers. As you shoot lasers in the game, your gun becomes overheated, and so with cooldown there, it'll help you keep that from happening as often. So in this game, there's this guy that's talking in the background that I really can't understand. I don't really know. There's probably some backstory to this, but honestly, for this type of game, I just feel like it's unnecessary. I don't really pay attention to story or anything else. This is all about flying and shooting. The sprites themselves are pretty colorful. There's a couple of different kinds of pickups you can get in the game. You'll see as I'm playing through, you'll see that I can get shields, as well as these purple pickups. That's a +1. +1 basically gives you a point to spend at the end of the stage on upgrades for your ship. This game has sort of a arcade feel to it. There are high scores and high score board where you can kind of go and take a look at other scores in the game and kind of compare with what you have to those high scores. It's really kind of old school arcade shooter kind of feeling game, but the background is a little annoying. I don't really care too much for that. I think there's just too much going on in the background. I like the idea, the concept. I think it's just a little too busy for me. It's not so overbearing that it's not fun to play. It's definitely a lot of fun. Basically, each board consists of a series of waves of monsters that come at you, these ships, and then dodging these and getting pickups and try to make it through that part of the board to go and then fight the boss. And here you can see I'm fighting the first boss in this level. The bosses are all the bosses that I've played are different. You can see this boss, this is even the first boss, and he took me out. So you have to be careful and pay attention to their pattern. In that case, I was just being a little careless and got shot with a bomb or a missile or some piece of debris that flew out of that boss.
Now let's move on.
The controls feel pretty good for this game. CyberPunk was developed by Peter Hann. It's pretty impressive for a one-person development effort, I must say. There's only a couple of tweaks that I could suggest making. One would be to watch the. We don't really care about the guy talking. It's very distracting, honestly. I don't. It feels like I'm missing out on something, but at the same time, I really don't care that much about what he's got to say. All I care about is flying through the board and shooting stuff. I know there's got to be some sort of a story, but the story's not super important in these kind of games. A perfect example, that's Galaga. What is the story in Galaga? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't know what the story is, because it's pretty simple what you have to do. You have to fly, stay alive, and shoot stuff. After you complete a board, you'll get a notification here that gives you how many points you scored and how many attempts, some other stats. And then when you click next here, you're able to sync the points that you gain through that board. The points for upgrades, you can sync those into your ship here. Once we're done, we'll hit next, and we go on to the next board.
Nothing to lose, nothing left to be left behind.
That's pretty much it. You know, you have a couple of different monster types so far. You've got some debris that you have to watch out for. If you run into that, it does damage. You have these flying ships, enemy ships. You also have these bombs, these mines. Overheating can be very frustrating. There's several different times in the game where I'm, trying to shoot and I can't. It doesn't really lend itself to this game. I really don't. I'm not crazy about the whole notion of overheating. One thing I think the developer did a really good job on so far is all the bosses seem to be different. You know, they're not similar at all. You know, this boss has a completely different attack pattern than the first one, and they do feel challenging. And the game does a pretty good job of guiding you to what you're supposed to do without actually spilling it out for you. All in all, I think this game is definitely worthy of the $7 that I paid for it on Steam. I think if you're looking for some time, something to kill some time and have a little fun while doing so, this is the game for you. So make sure you go check it out on Steam. I'll include the link on this video, and you can take a look for yourself and let us know what you think at PxlGrease. We'd like to hear your thoughts. If you have anything that you think I've missed, make sure to mention it in the comments below, and we'll address that. Until next time, this is Zen911 from PxlGrease, and I'm signing out.